Hello, this is basically Sunil Ramakrishnan, and here basically we are discussing about few questions basically. And the question basically is first basically we will discuss basically this question very fast basically. This is 14th number question, and number question says that one of the energy basically of the Earth planet basically is getting some energy from another planet, and another planet is getting from some another planet. So what is this actually? And 41 question basically this climate change. What actually the climate change is? One city says that we are basically producing the tomato. One city is selling that we are producing the onions basically. So what is this? That basically we are going to discuss. And this is basically 42nd number question. Basically, one group basically tried to kill one person basically, but he was not able to died. He was not able to die basically. Uh, he basically was saved basically in short basically. So what was that save energy and what was that killed energy? Killing energy basically. And this is basically 40th third question basically. In 43rd question basically one person told that 100 basically people basically question 100 people basically the problem basically was found, and in this problem basically they found that they actually tracked each and every people problem, and like this basically each and every people was having some 10 to 20 problems. So like this basically they told that each and every problem basically was occurring, and basically they dumped the entire energy basically into 140 150 city basically. And in this 150 city basically they told that basically we had dumped these 100 people's problems, and they again basically started the creating the problem just to check basically. They were doing actually experiment what actually thing is basically. So they started doing the experiment, and then basically they told that again they basically recreated the entire scene. Same basically problem occurs, this same thing basically occurred. Then basically as the problem was getting occurred, few problem basically was people was getting solved, but few are basically not getting solved. So what the people was not getting solved problem, that basically how it's going to affect to the entire earth planet and entire earthquakes basically, because each and every cities are connected with each other, and each and every planets basically are connected with each other basically. Why? Because the planets are passing the information of each planets. So like this basically the parameter, sorry, the planets for our planet, each and every this all those 100 people's problem was also basically getting passed. This was actually not able to track by the experiment people, but this was basically getting passed. And how basically this is going to affect to the entire earthquake system, that also basically we are going to see in detail. How one normal sand basically uh, can handle the 250 floor 253 floor building basically. So moving, I will take one example of the Mumbai city. Mumbai city is having the Mumbai city is basically having uh, 253 floor buildings basically, right? So how that building is standing, one basically person was basically confused basically how that is from few construction eat seed cement basically one building can't stand, right? So what is that magic, and who is that magical person basically behind this, that basically we are going to discuss in detail. Then basically same thing basically we have discussed. One planet is passing the energy to another planet, another planet is to another. Like this basically how many chains are there basically of the planets. Then basically nowadays the entire world is digital, right? So up to what level the digital has been reached, that basically we are going to discuss basically. For example, one person's body is basically, these few people are telling that we have changed his body's. Previously, basically, he was thinking some thinking about some computer. Now, basically, he's thinking about some ladies. So how that basically magic happened? How basically he basically that digitally basically how this was done basically? Ladies means he was basically thinking romantic thing basically. So how basically this magical thing basically happened? That basically we are going to discuss. How basically this all software groups basically are handling digitally basically. Because this each and everything basically planets, one planet is passing data to another planet is passing information to another planet, because each and everything are connected with it. Few people are so powerful that basically their behaviors basically directly affect to the universe. That also we are going to see which type of people basically are there. That 100 people problem, that basically that up to that 100 people problem basically basically created the entire scene basically. This basically what actually the scene is, that basically Bollywood and Hollywood group basically can understand what actually the scene is basically. What actually the this is basically 47th question. What actually the cyber world is, and how basically the Supreme Courts, High Courts basically approves this basically. That basically we are going to discuss basically. For example, one person is not having the job. So how basically he's not having the job? Basically, that High Court also, Supreme Court also might be knowing this, because his income basically is not getting generated. So they will be generating the reports basically why his income is not getting generated. So by default, they are basically going to know this. So how they are basically handling this? Because this has already passed to planets to planets. That's why entire universe basically know this. What actually the money holding people basically are, sorry, the high, how the high courts, Supreme Courts are handling these all cases. That basically we are going to and how basically police is handling these all cases basically, because police is basically by default handling the Supreme Courts and High Courts, no? They are following the orders of these all groups. And how basically police is controlling those all groups basically. For example, one person is not, I will take one example. I basically visited 6 times in Mumbai. So that by default basically was circulated in planets to planets. By default basically it is. So how basically police, Supreme Court, High Court basically handled this case, and how basically universe basically handle this case. That also basically we are going to do this, because this is directly going to affect to earthquakes. And basically this is 48 number question basically, that is basically electronic basically vehicles. How basically electronic vehicles is basically created by one of the software companies, and what basically the motive basically behind this is of the government. And this basically is a 49th person basically. One person told that basically he is certified, he is BCom basically, he is CS basically, he is basically this degree, that degree basically. So how basically degrees are basically connecting in this world basically. This is 50th question basically. And one software person basically told that basically 1000 city equal to one text box, 1000 city is equal to combo box. So how basically this is going to handle basically. Then this is basically 51 question. One person told that what is the definition of next generation. Next generation, for example, I basically has not got the marriage, but if I will get the marriage and my child will happen, so that is basically next generation. That is going to happen, that will be happen. Has basically anybody has finished the next generation? Because government basically what do, they basically do the next generation plan. Next generation plan means basically the person will exist or not exist, his next generation will exist or not exist. That is basically next generation. So Earth planet is also basically growing. So what will be the next generation of Earth planet? That basically we are going to discuss what actually next generation is. And basically this is basically the 52 question basically. How basically human needs, how they is created means one vegetable is used by whole world basically, and how created from software, and so this energy is how created. For example, one software company basically created one vegetable, so that is basically by default going to be used by any of the person, right? So they basically have to think up to the world level. So how basically this is basically going to work? Then basically this is 53rd verse question basically. One mobile basically is cutting controlled by the software companies. That is basically the computers. Computers are basically controlled by the servers. Servers are basically controlled by the set of digital technology. So how basically this is working? This is the most dangerous question. In this basically the cyber group basically cyber attack group basically, they should basically might be knowing this what I actually told this, what actually this is. Then basically the question is 54th question basically, and in this basically how basically one company setup is done. That basically is very easy question that basically anybody can know. It's very easy question basically, how to do the company setup. That is very, it seems to be very easy, but when we see practically it's very tough basically. Means to speak it's very easy, but to do practically it's very tough basically. One person told that we just need to create few companies basically, few software companies, and that software company just need to create few vegetables. That was just few lines word basically, but to do this basically takes how many years? 55th question, sound effect basically is connecting up to what level? For example, one person told that one scientist told that basically I want a war between these countries because the Earth planet is going to move to this side. So I want sound system. For that, basically they started war. So this is basically 56 question, and 56 question say that how many lights basically Earth planet has created. Earth planet energy has created. And this is basically 57th question. How basically each and every investment is mapped, and how basically the government is doing the mapping of the investment. This is basically very dangerous question. Because one person told that basically I was working. Basically, I was when I was working, I paid the tax. Basically, that time basically I actually paid the tax, right? That time basically money might have invested, right? So I should get the investment return also. So I should, if I am not getting the job basically, then basically it's a problem of government and the investment group basically. So that basically will be also interesting question answer basically. And this is basically 58th question basically. How many human made basically earth? How few earthquake basically are made by the human basically, right? So how basically army groups are basically handling this, and how army groups are telling that we are using this as a weapon. And basically digital war is ongoing, digital earthquake war basically, and how basically the supreme courts and high courts of the world basically international level handling this situation, and how basically they are handling army groups. One person told that this is basically 59th question. One person told that basically if I'm one person told that if you drink this water then you will have this many age, 90 age. One person told that if you drink this water then basically you will have 150 age. What is this actually? This basically we are going to discuss. One person told that what actually future is. What do you mean by future? That basically we are going to discuss. For example, one person told that what is your next generation? After marriage basically, what will be your generation basically? what will be the future of your generation basically, whether you will be having the child, you will be not having the child. If not having the child basically, then you will be finding the reason basically why you are not having the child. So for that basically, what is the future? 1% told that basically what actually Bollywood is, what is Hollywood, what actually really this connects to the world basically. Then basically 1% told that um, how basically this Russian Ukrainian basically soldiers basically has basically died. So where basically their bodies are, and how basically the human cloning creation system basically are going to use that human body, and how basically things are going to be controlled. That basically we are going to see, and how basically they somebody has created this scene. So how basically this is going to connect to Hollywood and Bollywood. This is basically 63rd question. One person told that, what do you mean by chair? Chair means vice president, CEO, managers, developers, and presidents, prime minister. What actually the chair is, and how basically to get the chair basically, what people don't do, up to what level the people's things do, what up to what level the people basically do to get one chair. That basically we are going to discuss. And after getting chair basically how they use the chair. 64 question basically what actually sports is and how basically in real world basically sports are getting used. And this is basically 65 question, that is basically how basically the software industries are basically getting handled by the software group, software owner, software industry. How many types of power supplies are there? For example, just now basically I am uh, having this video. So that was basically which type of power supply? From where basically that power supply was came? Each and everything basically we are going to discuss. And power supply is equal to next generation. So how basically the government plans the next generation, and how basically friends plans the next generation. For example, there are 10 friends basically. They told that this person is basically not good here. We will not have him for next generation. So our next generation basically is not going to connect with this. So basically they done the plan. 10 friends basically done the plan that that person basically he's not supposed to come into next generation of our. So what is that, and what going to effect of this, that basically we are going to discuss. And how basically the power supply basically chain has been created. So basically total 67 questions are there. In detail basically we are going to discuss, and basically as the question basically comes, I will write down the question and I will say that this is the 68th number question. Up to what level the questions basically are going to reach, and the answer basically going to reach, each and everything basically is going to connect to the next generation. Next generation means, for example, Mumbai city say that we are basically having, we basically create the next generation, and we finish the next generation also. So what is this also, that also basically we are going to discuss how they finish the next generation and how they create the next generation. And in this basically main role are of governments, companies, software companies, and big human needs group basically, how they basically map this. So here basically there are 67 questions, and we are going to discuss the answer after this video.